Hello guys, I am back with another episode. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and the message reads like this. Hello Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please share my own story? So, growing up, my father was a fisherman, and because he was a fisherman, he was able to take me to school. And after I had graduated, I finally got a scholarship and I had to migrate out of Africa, and I went to Europe, where I am currently staying with my family. So after staying in Europe for many years, I could not travel back to my country for a lot of reasons. I was still trying to settle down, and when I had arrived here in Europe, I had told myself that the end game for me, I wanted to take my parents so that they can stay with me here in Europe. Most of the people that are staying here in Europe, they know that the bills are quite expensive and it can take a very long time before you can finally settle down. So I took about 15 years, Brother Nashi, before I could travel back to my home country. But I was always in communication with my parents back home in Africa. I used to send them a lot of money, and even some of the people from my own village. I had that desire that people from my own village, they had to be educated, and I was a source of inspiration for most of the young boys that were in our village. I was someone who was that open. When someone from the village wanted my phone number, I would just tell my mom to go ahead and give that person my phone number. So I used to speak with a lot of people in the village. But one thing that I have learned, Brother Nash, is that if someone is a witch, no matter what you try to do, even if you try to be good to them, in the end, they will just bewitch you for no reason at all. There was this other girl that I used to date when I was still in school. But me and this girl, we only dated for a brief period of time. This was when I was still in high school. As someone who wanted to succeed in life, I saw that my father was a poor man, and now I was dating this girl, and she was someone who was always demanding or chasing after money. Whenever she would tell me that she needed money so that she can buy some makeup, she needed some money to go to the hair salon, even though it was just a village hair salon, the money was not that much. But at that time, to me, it was costing me a fortune. I then saw that it was far much better for me to invest in my future than to invest in this girl who was always chasing after money. And this girl that I am talking about, she was that kind of a woman. When you don't give her money, she will threaten to break up with you. So many times I will go on my knees and I will be begging for her love, until one day, that is when I made that conscious decision and I told myself that I don't want to do this anymore. Yes, that girl, she was really beautiful. The only reason why she was dating me, it was because in the school where we used to attend in our village, I was one of the brightest students, and a lot of teachers, they kept on telling me that my future was bright. So I think that the only reason why she was dating me, it was because most of the people that she had talking about my future, they kept on saying that I had a bright future. I was the one of the few people that were expected to move out of the village because of my intelligence. When I got my scholarship, Brother Nashi, unfortunately, me and that young woman, we had to break up. Let me say she was the one who broke up with me, because there was this other day, she came to me, then she told me that she needed money for something. I don't remember anymore. And I told her that I don't have any money. Even though I had money, I had told her that I had money, but the money that I had, I wanted to use the money to do some research, because there was this other high school debate that was going to be done in the city. So I needed money for transport, because I was one of those people that were going to compete in that competition, and I also needed some money for food. So I could not give her that money. Then she dumped me, Brother Nashi. That same day when she had dumped me, I was still crying. I still remember that when she told me that she doesn't love me anymore. she left me. I was sitting on top of this hill. Me and her, whenever we wanted to see each other and to enjoy our love, we used to go and sit on top of that hill. That hill, it really had a good view of the village. When she told me that she didn't love me, she just left me sitting on that hill crying. But after a couple of hours, I then decided that let me go back home and prepare for this high school debate. When I was walking back to the village, I saw her. She was in a car busy kissing this other married man. She looked at me and she laughed and she said that all of this, it could have been yours, but you have made your choice and now I have made my own choice. I am going to give all of this to this man that I am with right now. Brother Nashi, I was really hurt on that day. I cried so much. When I arrived back home, when I tried to pick up my book so that I can continue studying, I could not even study because that girl, she was everything to me. I am giving you a background of my story so that you can know that no matter how much you try to be good to someone, if a person is just a witch, no matter what you try to do, they will just bewitch you. When I went to that high school debate, then there was this other person who later gave me a scholarship after I had successfully passed my exams when I was finishing my high school. When I went to university, that person was the one who was sponsoring me and he had other contacts in this country where I am now staying. I just did 1 year at the first university where I was studying when I was still in my country. After the final semester, that is when that person told me that I had gotten another sponsorship and I was going to fly out to Europe. I was really excited. Even everyone in the village, when they heard this good news, they were really excited. But what troubled me, Brother Nash, is that a couple of days before I could travel to the city so that I can stay at that man's house who had been sponsoring me all along. Since my father was a fisherman, growing up he had taught me to become a fisherman. Before I could travel to the city, I just thought, let me go to the river so that I can say goodbye to this river that he had fed me and my family for all of these years. As I was sitting by that river just trying to catch a few fish, that is when I saw that young lady. She walked to the place where I was sitting. Then she apologized for ending our relationship when we were still in high school. She told me that I was the first love of her life and she wanted to get married to me. She wanted me to marry her before I could leave the village, but I told her that there was no time to make those kind of preparations. She said that she wanted to run away with me to Europe, and I told her that it was impossible for me to take her with me to Europe. Brother Nashi, if you are in love with someone, no matter how much they hurt you, but sometimes they can make you to do things, and those things, they will affect you later on in life, even when you have found your success. This is what that lady did to me when we were sitting by that river. As she was sitting with me, she said, okay, it is fine. I understand that you don't want to take me with you on that aeroplane wherever you are going to. I heard that where you are going, there are a lot of beautiful women. Please, can you promise me that you are going to come back to me? And she started to cry. When I saw her crying, that love that I had kept in my heart, it came back, Brother Nashi, and I started to love her again. But I knew that my girlfriend was not a wife material type. She was only crying because she knew that I was going to be flying out to Europe. So I just wanted to comfort her. But when I was comforting her, Brother Nashi, she made me to do a covenant with her. As we were sitting by that river, she said, promise me that you are going to take me, you are going to come back and you will take me back to Europe with you so that I can become your wife. I said, yes, I promise you, I am going to come back and I will take you back to Europe with me. And she said that words are not enough. At least, can you please try to swear by the river goddess? When she told me that I had to make an oath with the river goddess, I panicked, Brother Nashi, but I didn't want to show her that I had panicked. Then me and her, we made an oath with the river goddess. I just said, I swear before the river goddess that when I have found my success, I am going to come back and I will take you back into that foreign land where I would have found my success. This was many, many years ago. I was just a young man. I was just a young man who was in love with this beautiful young lady. After that, we kissed, and on that day, finally, she agreed to have intercourse with me. Me and that young lady, Brother Nashi, we had intercourse by the riverside. Then I took her to her place, and I went back to my place. After a couple of days, I traveled to the city. Me and my girlfriend, we didn't have any kind of communication because I didn't have a phone. She didn't have a phone, so I just left. When I arrived here in Europe, I knew the task that was at hand. I knew what I was supposed to do. I kept on studying and studying, Brother Nashi, because whenever I would feel tired, if I would just think about my parents and the situation back home, I would continue studying until I finally graduated. And when I was working, that is when I met my current wife. She is someone who fears the Lord, but she doesn't even know that I made this oath, Brother Nashi, with a river goddess. Like I told you that I am someone who is supporting a lot of people back in the village from where I come from. That young lady whom I was dating when I was still in high school, that same one who made me to do a covenant with the river goddess. All along, she had been married to another man, and I don't know what happened in her marriage. Then she came back to the village. And when she came back to the village, she finally spoke with my mother, and she asked my mother for my phone numbers. Brother Nashi, my mother gave her my phone numbers because I had given my mother the permission to give anyone in the village, anyone who wanted my assistance in the village. That former girlfriend of mine, when she went to my mother, she lied to my mother that she had done this short course and she wanted to find a way to travel to Europe, but she was just lying. She told me this after I had spoken with her on WhatsApp. After speaking with her on WhatsApp, she was actually blaming me for all the abuse that she had faced in her marriage, and she said that if it was not for me, she would be living a happy life, and if I had not made a fake promise to her, she would be living a happy life. When I told her that I was now married, I had my own 2 kids, she is now threatening me Last time, Brother Nashi, she told me that she is going to go back to that river so that she can remind the river goddess of the oath that me and her we did, and the river goddess was our witness. This whole thing, it scares me a lot. Because growing up, we used to hear a lot of stories of people that went to that river goddess and they asked a lot of favors from that river goddess, and that river goddess gave them those things that they were asking from her. But when it was time for them to pay back, some of them, they thought that running away from the river goddess will solve the whole situation. But we had stories of the river goddess rising up like a tornado from that river and going after those people that had refused to pay her back. And she reminded me of all of these stories that we grew up hearing, Brother Nashi. To someone who doesn't understand our culture, they might just think that it was just an oath that you took. So what? Now you are in Europe, it will never affect you. But in our culture, this river goddess, she is someone who is sweet sometimes, but she can turn out to be a violent goddess if you betray her. Brother Nashi, she has told me that I have to make her my wife. She told me that as far as she knows, she is my original wife. The woman that I married when I was here in Europe, she is only my wife in this physical world. But as for her, she is my wife in this physical world and in the spiritual world, because me and her, we did a covenant together. Ever since I spoke with my former girlfriend, I have noticed that even in my own marriage, there is no peace at all. My wife was a peaceful woman, but now sometimes she acts as if she is possessed by something. When I told her this, she said that she never did anything. maybe it is because that the river goddess is angry that I got married to another woman when I had made a covenant that I was going to get married to her. Please, Brother Nashi, can you post my story? I just want to alert all the young men out there that when you are still growing up, you need to think of all the decisions that you are taking, because today you can take a decision out of love, but that decision will affect you for the rest of your life. I am keeping this whole thing as a secret from my own wife because I don't know how she is going to react if she hears that I am now in contact with my former girlfriend that I dated when I was still in high school. And if she hears this story of this goddess in the middle, I don't know what her reaction will be like. Please, Brother Nashi, can you post my story for me? I'll be following up in the comment section.